to the Jesse Lee Herndon question. Here's a random question I wanted to ask Dave during the end of the last Kickstarter, but chickened out. Why an aardvark? Not Cerebus, but Suentius Poe. When did Dave know he was going to be one and Sarah the other? Both are first mentioned in the book about the same time, if I recall, circa issue 20. So was it there from the outset, or was it just serendipitous fortitude? I'm not sure that the three aardvarks thing was fully developed at that point. I did, when Suentius Poe was first introduced, there was only one Suentius Poe, and then I came up with the idea that the illusionists, being illusionists, it's very common for them to call themselves Suentius Poe, because that's a very illusionist kind of thing to do. Who's the real Suentius Poe? Well, we're all Suentius Poe. It was, I think, and Siren, I definitely decided was going to be the third Aardvark, along about the time that I was talking more about the Sirenists as a matriarchy. That was a matter of the Sirenist and Kevalist thing, which I saw as being the next big societal schism that we're all going to have to live through, is when the daughters make war on the mothers and the mothers make war on the daughters. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but I do think that that's inevitable up ahead. How far up ahead, I have no idea. It could be the next 10 years, could be 50 years after I'm dead. It's not, I don't think it's going to be pleasant. I think probably one of the more interesting questions is nobody has asked me, were Suentius Poe and Siren hermaphrodites? That is hermaphroditism an idiosyncratic quality of Aardvark? And I never got asked that, and if I had been asked that, the answer would have been Siren didn't want to refer to that, whether she was or whether she wasn't. And Suentius Poe, I think, was in the same category. If he was a hermaphrodite, that was a beside the point thing to him, aside from his own pursuit of truth and the most authentic way of living that he could come up with, of complete non-interference, non-participation, trying to attain to a state of beneficence through that. I think a character having those qualities is their genitalia are really completely beside the point. Genitalia are not going to figure prominently in that. It does color the whole 6,000 pages, several different colors, depending on whether Cerebus was the only hermaphroditic Aardvark, or Suentius Poe and Siren and Cerebus were all hermaphrodites, or Suentius Poe and Cerebus were hermaphrodites, and Siren wasn't, or Cerebus and Siren were hermaphrodites, and Suentius Poe wasn't. And that's one of those situations where this day and age where there seems to be no such thing as privacy, everything is TMI. I will respect the privacy of Silentius Poe and say, I'm not going to decide that. I'm Dave Sim, the writer of Cerebus, but I'm not God. And the fact that it was Astoria that outed Cerebus. That's one of those. Astoria has her good qualities and her bad qualities, but her malignant MI nature is really not something that I personally find admirable, and certainly something that I find problematic in our society. We have to expose everyone and splash it all over the internet, because as soon as we know everything about everyone, then we'll know who we're supposed to hate and how much we're supposed to hate them, and we can all do our fair share to destroy their lives. It's like, I don't think that's what our grandfathers fought in World War II to achieve. And I think they would be appalled to find out that is the most popular viewpoint of what freedom is all about in 2019. I find it appalling. But anyway, that was my answer to Jesse Lee Herndon's question. I got to tell you, I've had a head full of cotton wool the last couple of days, so it's very, very difficult to think and very, very difficult to convey ideas. I apologize in advance for the next two weekly updates. The one that will be going up tomorrow and the one that will be going up next Friday. I have no idea what I said in either of them. I was just getting it done so I could get back to bed.
One of the surprise questions I got, because I got it last night, is Dion Turner on the Facebook group asked about the Green Dante, Green Virgil auction. Are they supposed to bid on the YouTube comments or on the A Moment of Service comments?
I imagine both. We'll just say whichever has the highest amount.
Okay, that's the follow-up is, and then John Christian, I bid $68, Jeff Seiler bid $100, and now John Christian has bid $200 US.
Oh, all right. Thank you, John Christian. I appreciate that. There's some footage of me doing the logo and pasting up the front cover. I think that's next week. I don't think that's this week. But yeah, you could bid either spot. It's not as if they're inaccessible. If somebody bids 250 on YouTube, then we're going to say it's 250.
Okay, I'm kind of keeping track of both, and when I post a link to the initial video, I say this is where the bidding's at with whoever's the top bidder. So right now it's going to be John.
All right.
I try to keep on track of that. I mean, I'm not just letting it hang out in the wind, but I know that some people only go to the YouTube and some people don't, and it's just a headache for everybody, but we can figure this out. This isn't rocket surgery.
Right. I want to say a thanks to Dion Turner, too, that you want to talk about the core group of the core group of the core group of Cerebus fans. Only 3 people watch Cerebus TV every week, and I know that because you can't download it without paying your 88 cents. And that's Eddie Connor in Vancouver, Michael R. in Easton, Pennsylvania, and Dion Turner in Australia. we don't have a large viewership, but we have a very widespread viewership.
Okay. I haven't been doing it just because PayPal gets goofy with me when I want to pay the 88 cents and finding time to watch Cerebus TV with two kids who are 8 and 3.
No, I'm not asking for.
Well, no, I freely admit
I just find it funny that it was the same thing as Benjamin Hobbs said. Have you ever recorded yourself drawing? Because it's like that seems to be really popular on YouTube. Is artists recording themselves drawing? And I went, well, I recorded myself drawing on several of the 118 Cerebus TV episodes that I did, but there's only 3 viewers of Cerebus TV. It's like, I'm hoping we're at least getting to the point where we understand that Cerebus have been almost completely destroyed, but not completely destroyed, and that's now the most interesting thing about it. What does it take to absolutely destroy Cerebus so that it's never referred to and never talked about and it just completely ceases to exist? I think it could be done temporarily. I think it could be done in my lifetime. But not sure if it would actually survive all of the Eddie Kana administration. It's like one of those those trick birthday candles that you just can't blow out.
Well, that's Oliver.
I was going to ask you: is Eddie Kana said that in his facts that the reaction to this solicitation for LGBTQ, etc., was he wasn't sure where it was on the Richter scale, but it was definitely on the Richter scale. Is that still going on?
I haven't heard anything. I'm off Twitter for the next few years because as I posted something about it and I typed the Twitters and I put a link to the Alec Guinness bit from the first Star Wars movie where he says, "You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy." And that's pretty much how I feel about Twitter. So I don't dip my toe in as much if I can help it.
Okay.
I know Oliver Simonson on the Facebook group will post links to various tweets, and he'll post something like somebody drew Cerebus, and then he comments on it with other links to Twitter of other people talking about Cerebus, and he usually gets at least a dozen every time he does this. Where somebody, they'll rank Cerebus as one of the greatest graphic novels of all time. One guy said if you could go back in time and do anything, he'd buy a Cerebus #1. I'm trying to think. I mean, and it's always there's a podcast where they're going through old issues of Wizard, and they do a podcast of this is issue 17, and there's a big Cerebus reference in issue 17, so he posted the link to that. And I'm on the Facebook group, and I'm going, I could steal this, and I won't have to do a post today, but then I'm a skeeving little thief, and I don't want to be a skeeving little thief. I'll come up with something else. But yeah,
one of the things you faxed me through the LGBTQ Nation piece.
Yeah, that Oliver found that.
Right. I've asked Ikana to work with George Gatzis, who does Cerebus downloads, and figure out a way to offer Elma to LGBTQ Nation as a free download. I don't know, come up with some sort of special code that only LGBTQ Nation viewers, readers, whatever they're called, would be able to download Melmoth just as I don't think of myself as a homophobe. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. I've got some stuff that I wrote down, but definitely, 1990, 1991, doing a graphic novel version of The Last Days of Oscar Wilde is not the cagiest career move that you could make in the comic book field at the time. And I think I get credit for that from some gays, but not from a lot of gays. And I can understand that. I mean, if you're an absolutist about celebrating homosexuality is just a complete societal virtue. There's absolutely no downside to it. Okay, that's the way you're going to look at it. But anyway, that's Eddie sent me 3 pages of emails going back and forth with George, and it sounds like they've got it figured out, but I got a head full of cotton wool, so I'm not sure that I'm just not understanding what they're talking to each other about, because it's all internet stuff, or if they're still having to work out how it's going to be done. But if this is the only gay website that picked up on the story, okay, well, here's something that you maybe don't know about Dave Sim. Particularly interesting that Jacques' story with Oscar Wilde's appearance in it is being remastered right now, and is getting ready to go to press.